Imagine 2 a.m. You're lying in bed, eyes wide open, and your brain is having a feast, not on food, on thoughts. It's gorging itself on that conversation from 3 days ago, replaying it in slow motion, analyzing every micro expression, every pause, every word you should have said differently. Your mind is like a compulsive eater at a buffet that never closes. It can't stop consuming. One worry leads to another, then another, until you're mentally bloated with anxiety, regret, and endless what-ifs. You want to stop thinking. God, you want to stop, but your brain keeps reaching for more. This isn't just overthinking. This is something deeper, more insidious. This is cognitive gluttony, and you're addicted to it. In this video, you'll learn why your brain can't stop consuming thoughts and how to finally break the cycle. Let's be honest about something most people won't admit. You're addicted to thinking. Not the good kind of thinking, not problem-solving or creativity or deep reflection. You're addicted to junk thoughts, mental fast food, the cognitive equivalent of stress eating an entire bag of chips while watching Netflix. You know the thoughts I'm talking about. The ones that serve no purpose except to make you feel temporarily busy, temporarily important, temporarily in control. The mental rehearsals of conversations that will never happen, the endless analysis of other people's motives, the compulsive replaying of embarrassing moments from 7th grade. This is cognitive gluttony, the brain's tendency to binge on thoughts the way people binge on food. And just like with food, it's not about hunger. It's about comfort, control, and the illusion of productivity. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in complete silence for 10 minutes without reaching for your phone, without planning your day, without mentally chewing on some problem? When was the last time you experienced true mental stillness? If you can't remember, you're not alone. Modern life has turned us all into thought addicts, constantly feeding our minds with mental stimulation because we've forgotten how to be comfortable with emptiness. But here's what's really happening. Your brain has learned that thinking feels like doing something. Every time you analyze a situation, replay a conversation, or worry about the future, you get a tiny hit of dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in every addiction known to humanity. Your brain rewards you for thinking because it mistakes mental activity for progress. But most of the time, you're just running on a hamster wheel inside your own head. The most disturbing part about thought addiction isn't the binging, it's the cycle. Like someone struggling with bulimia, you consume thoughts compulsively, then feel sick from the mental overconsumption, then purge through guilt, regret, and exhaustion, only to start the cycle all over again. Here's how it works. You binge on thoughts. Maybe it starts with a simple worry. Did I lock the door? But your brain can't just check once and move on. It has to feast. It replays the memory of leaving the house, analyzes your current anxiety level, calculates the probability of burglary, imagines worst-case scenarios, then judges you for being irrational. This is the binge phase. Your mind is gorging itself on mental content, consuming thought after thought after thought until you're cognitively stuffed. Then comes the purge. You realize you've been thinking in circles for an hour. You feel disgusted with yourself. Why can't I just stop overthinking, you ask. You promise yourself you'll be more present, more mindful, more at peace. You overcorrect, trying to force your mind into silence, which only creates more mental tension. The exhaustion hits. Your brain is tired from all the mental processing, but instead of rest, you feel empty, and emptiness is uncomfortable. So what does your brain do? It reaches for more thoughts. The cycle begins again. This isn't weakness. This isn't a character flaw. This is how your brain has been conditioned to operate in a world that mistakes mental busyness for importance. But the cost is enormous. Every moment you spend lost in compulsive thinking is a moment you're not actually living. You're consuming experiences instead of having them. You're analyzing life instead of living it. Your brain doesn't want peace. It wants control. And thinking, even useless repetitive thinking, gives it the illusion of control. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. Your ancestors' survival depended on constant mental vigilance. The ones who could anticipate threats, plan for contingencies, and analyze social dynamics were more likely to survive and reproduce. Your brain inherited this hyperactive survival system, but here's the problem. Your Stone Age brain is trying to survive in a space-age world. It's scanning for threats that don't exist, solving problems that don't need solving, and preparing for scenarios that will never happen. Every time you think, your brain releases small amounts of dopamine, the same chemical involved in every addiction. When you solve a mental problem, even an imaginary one, you get a tiny reward. When you successfully analyze a social situation, you get a hit. When you plan for the future, you get another hit. Your brain becomes addicted to these micro-rewards. It learns that thinking equals progress, that mental activity equals productivity, that being in your head equals being in control. Carl Jung understood this when he wrote, "Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge." Your brain would rather consume pre-packaged thoughts, judgments, assumptions, familiar worries, than engage in the harder work of actual thinking, or, even more challenging, actual presence. The spiritual teacher, Eckhart Tolle, calls this the voice in your head, the incessant mental narrator that comments on everything, judges everything, and never seems to shut up. But here's what he realized. You are not that voice. You are the awareness that can observe it. Alan Watts put it even more beautifully. The mind is like water. When agitated, it becomes difficult to see. When calm, everything becomes clear. But your brain doesn't want clarity. It wants stimulation. It mistakes the turbulence for aliveness, the mental noise for consciousness itself. Breaking free from thought addiction isn't about stopping all thinking. That's impossible and unnecessary. It's about developing a different relationship with your thoughts. It's about learning to consume them consciously instead of compulsively. First, you need to become aware of the binge. Start noticing when you're mentally overeating. What does it feel like in your body when you're lost in compulsive thinking? Usually there's tension in your shoulders, tightness in your chest, or a sense of being disconnected from your physical environment. The moment you notice you're binging on thoughts, don't judge yourself. Don't try to stop immediately, just observe. Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm feeding my mind junk thoughts. This awareness alone begins to break the unconscious pattern. Next, practice thought fasting. Just like intermittent fasting can reset your relationship with food, periods of mental silence can reset your relationship with thinking. This doesn't mean meditation retreats or complicated techniques. It means simple practices. Take 5 conscious breaths and focus only on the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. Step outside and notice 3 things you can see, hear, and feel without labeling or analyzing them. Write down your thoughts for 10 minutes without editing or judging. Just let them flow onto paper and out of your head. The key is to reframe silence not as emptiness, but as nourishment. In a world that's constantly feeding you mental stimulation, choosing silence is radical. It's like choosing water over soda, salad over sugar. It doesn't provide the immediate rush, but it leaves you feeling genuinely satisfied. Start treating your attention like a precious resource instead of an unlimited one. Every thought you consume is using up mental energy. Every worry you entertain is taking space that could be used for creativity, presence, or actual problem solving. Reminded of your thoughts are not insights. They're mental junk food. And just like with food, you can learn to distinguish between what nourishes you and what just fills you up. Here's the beautiful truth that every thought addict eventually discovers. You are not the thoughts you consume. You are not the mental feast your brain keeps serving you. You are not the worries, the judgments, the endless analysis, or the compulsive planning. You are the awareness that can observe all of this. You are the space in which thoughts arise and pass away. You are the silence that exists between thoughts, the peace that remains when the mental chatter finally stops. Think of it this way. If your brain is gorging itself at a buffet of thoughts, you don't have to join the feast. You can sit back, watch the feeding frenzy, and realize something profound. You're not even hungry. The thoughts will keep coming, that's what brains do. But you don't have to consume every one. You don't have to analyze every worry, entertain every judgment, or follow every mental tangent down its rabbit hole. You can learn to push the plate away. You can learn to say, "Thank you, brain, but I'm full." You can learn to find nourishment in the space between thoughts, satisfaction in the silence, and peace in the simple act of being present. Because here's what nobody tells you about breaking free from thought addiction. The relief is immediate. The moment you stop compulsively consuming thoughts, you start experiencing life directly. Colors become more vivid. Conversations become more real. Your body relaxes. Your breath deepens. You remember what it feels like to be alive, instead of just thinking about being alive. So the next time you find yourself mentally binging, remember this. You are not the feast. You are the silence watching it all. And maybe peace begins when you finally push the plate away. The question isn't whether you can stop thinking. The question is, are you ready to stop being addicted to it? If this video helped you recognize your own thought addiction, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's your biggest mental junk food? Is it replaying conversations? Worrying about the future? Judging yourself? Share your story. You might help someone else realize they're not alone in this struggle. And if you're ready to break free from the cycle of cognitive gluttony, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community of people who choose presence over mental noise, who value silence over the constant chatter of an addicted mind. Because the most radical thing you can do in a world addicted to thinking is to simply be.